Alright kids, this is August 2012, 16 through 30. And I have my calculator up, so we should be ready to go. This should be a little bit smoother, hopefully. So we have a prism here, and what's the surface area of this prism? And I'm not really sure exactly how the formula is written for you guys, but let's say it's on your formula sheet and says surface area is equals to 2 length width plus 2 width lengths plus 2 height widths. Now it might be slightly different than that on your calculator, I don't know. But you just got to kind of multiply every combination. Like on this side, it's 7.5 times 3.0. On the top, it's this 2.2 times this 3.0. So we'll just put all these numbers in. And it's 2 because there's one on top, and the one on bottom, the one on left, and the one on right. So that's why it's always 2. One in front, one in back. That's why it's always 2. So 2 length widths. And then 2 width lengths. Oops, crap. I don't know how to undo something, so I'm just going to go like this. Plus 2, whatever's. Okay, so lengths. Let's call this the width, this the length, this the height. So 2 length widths, 2.2 and 3. And then 2, wait, length width, and so in that, I was setting copy on the formula. This is length times width, and this is width times length. So those are the same thing. We have a height times width, so we need a height times length. And if you look at the formula sheet, just copy the formula on exactly on the formula sheet. I'm not really sure if I copied it on here or not. I guess it's probably not here. Just looking on this formula document, see if it's actually in here. No, I didn't carry it. So we'll figure it out. Alright, so it didn't work. Alright, so I did this really terrible. I will do this. This looks awful. So 7.5 times 3 equals, and then we're going to end up multiplying by 2. We'll get some number. And then we're going to do 2.2 times 3, that's a number, I'm multiplying by 2 because it's 2 of those, and then finally 2.2 times 7.5. These problems are such a pain in the neck because I was just multiplying, like all it really is a number, so let's see, 7.5 times 3, 7.5 times 3, 22.5. 22.5, and if I multiply that by 2, I get 45. And 2.2 times 3 is 6.6. That's 2.2 times 7.5. 2.2 times 7.5 equals 16.5. What was it? 16.5. 16.5 times 2 would be 33, and then this one times 2 would be 13.2. So another 0.2. I'm going to guess it's 91. 45. Let's see. 0.2, 3, 6, 11. Go to 1. 5, 6, 9. 91.2. Yay, that was a pain in the neck. Those kind of problems. So which set of is in the solution of, well, if you graph this thing, then there's 3 different ways. Let's do method 1. Let's graph it. The first thing I'm going to do is switch these, right? So I will get 2x minus 11 equals y. So my y-intercept is negative 11, and my slope is up 2 over 1. Something like this. Something like this. It's graph paper, and of course there's graph paper on the final exam. You could use that. So let's say 0, 11 seems to be out right away. That's up here. 2 negative 7, that's a possibility. That should be okay. How about 9 negative 1? 9 negative 1. Not an okay problem. And then negative 6 negative 1 will be over here. So my guess is this is the answer. But of course, we should use method 2, which would be to plug this in and actually check that. So then we get 2 times 2 minus negative 7. Remember, every time we sub in, always use parentheses, otherwise you'll make lots of mistakes, equals 11. This is 4 plus 7 equals 11. Now, if you want to check your math, maybe you didn't do that right. So we can always go back to the calculator and say, okay, we're going to take 2, we're going to store it into x. This can be found in almost any calculator. And then we'll take negative 7, and store it into y. And then just type in the problem. 2x minus y equals 11. Well, we're looking for the true. I copied out a problem. Oh, I wrote down minus 7. I think I meant to write down minus y, didn't I? Minus y. I don't know what was I thinking. Y. There's my true. Alright, good. Good. So, that's it. It's choice 4. Moving on. The graph of a parabola is represented by this equation, ax. So, okay. So, some of you know about parabolas, okay? First of all, you know the general shape. It looks like this. This is when a is greater than 0, right? And if a is between 0 and 1, that means it's kind of small, we'll get a wide one. So this would be like if a equals a half, something like that. If a was bigger than 1, we're going to get a really steep one. And how bigger a is, the bigger steeper it is. If all of a sudden that a was less than 0, otherwise known as negative, you get a parabola that's coming down. And then the same rules apply. If you've got a fraction that's smaller than 1, it will be wide. If you've got a number bigger than 1, it'll be nice and steep. Those are things you know about a parabola. So now let's go over here. It is a positive integer. This means it's going up. It's going to be facing up. And it's multiplied by 2, which means it's going to make it steeper. So it's going to open, well, okay, steeper, and then also this is wider, and then this would be narrower. So it's going to open upward, and it is going to be narrower. All right, next page, kids. All right, 19. Which equation represents a line of slope 3/4 and passes through this point? Notice none of these have y by itself. If I get y by itself here, or here, this is going to give me a slope of 4/3. And this one will also give me 4/3. So these don't make any sense. So it has to be one of these two. And so this slope really is just going to narrow it down to these two questions. The only way you're going to be able to figure out which one of these is right is by plugging that point in. So we'll do 4 times y, which is the 1, does it equal 3 times 2 minus 2? And this is 4 equals 6 minus 2, or 4 equals 4. That checks. So that appears to be the right answer. But I love to check everything. So let's do 4 times 1 equals 3 times 2 plus 5. Well, that's 11. That's not going to be. So choice 3 is the right answer. Hopefully we got that one right. Well, this one, quite frankly, I would strictly do on my calculator, so we'll go back and forth and get the absolute value, which we find right here. What the times button. Oops. got the absolute value. Then I gotta get division, so I'll do control division. And then I'll remember. 4, negative 6 plus 18. 4, plus 3, negative 6 plus 3, plus 18. All over 4 factorial. 4, and remember the factorial is right here next to the G button. Click on this, and it's right there. So we'll get to it. And if you hit enter, you'll 1/4. Not sure why they put these problems on the table test anymore, but now let's do it at home. 4 times negative 6, negative 24, plus 18. 4 factorial is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So this turns out to be the absolute value of negative 6 over 24. The absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6 will be 1/4. The other thing is, since this entire thing was in an absolute value, you knew these couldn't be right. Now, if there's a negative up front, you gotta be careful. But since the whole thing was in the absolute value, you knew that it wasn't, couldn't be these. Alright. Which statement is false? This is a tough question. Let's remind ourselves a few notes. This stands for union. And we're looking to combine with sets. This stands for intersection. And you're going to see what they have in common. So, it says the union of A and B and C, so putting all 3 of these together, is the same as D. Well, let's see if that's true. It's got a 1, there's the 2, now we're going to put them all together, there's a 3, 4, 5, 6, there's a 7, there's an 8, there's a 9, there's a 10. Well, that looks like it's pretty good. Oh, which statement is false? Okay, so that one is true. Okay, so the intersection of them all, what do they all have in common? So this means they all have to have at least some number in common. So let's check. They all don't have a 2, they all don't have a 3, they all don't have a 4, they all don't have a 5, they all don't have a 6, they all don't have a I'm going to say this is looking pretty good right here. Let's just check. Now starting with the union of A or C. We're going to put these together. 1, 2, 3. One, 5, 7. Well, hold on a second. That one's looking pretty good too. Maybe I screwed up earlier. Let's check. A and C. Let's put A and C together. A and C. They have a 3. They have a 5. And they have a 7. So that one's definitely true. So we'll get rid of that one. We'll get rid of this one. Somehow I screwed something up. The union of A and B and C. Basically, what do A and B and C all have in common? This, by the way, remind you, is the empty set. It means they have nothing in common. So, they certainly all don't have a 1, or a 2, or a 3, or a 4, or a 5, 6, or 7. This is an interesting question. And the union of A and C is, they forgot the 9. There should be a 9 here. Alright, I'm back. Back from a brain fart. So, I don't know what I was thinking. Hold on a second. So, let me remind you, this here stands for the empty set. This here stands for the empty set. Okay. So what it's saying is that there are no numbers that are in all three sets. And if you take a look at it, these are the odds, these are the evens. So there's no way you're going to have a number in the odds and the evens. And then these are the primes. So no number is going to be missed. So it is the empty set. So that is a true statement. I hate these questions that ask false, because they always mess me up. But you're looking for the one that is false. You're not looking for the ones that are true. This is true. There are no elements they have in common. So this is the one that is in fact false. And the reason is because they missed the 9. All right, let's move on. When you divide these, what you're really doing is you're dividing each one by the denominator. So 2x to the 6th over 2x squared minus 18x to the 4th over 2x squared plus 2x squared over 2x squared. And the trick to most of these questions is always going to lie on this last one. Everybody thinks that we just cancel everything out here and it just goes away, but it doesn't. It adds a +1 to the end. So any one of these ones that doesn't have a +1, we have to get rid of. Now we're down to at least 2 choices. We'll figure this out. Let me go back to the right page. I think this is it. Let's lose my magnification. Can I change something? So try to keep my hand on this. So let's go here. So these twos obviously cancel, and that's okay. And then who has more x's? I used to say who has more x's, but you always forget. You remember you're going to subtract these. And then if you want to, you think who has more? The numerator does. How many more? It has 4 more. And so therefore the answer must be choice 4. Notice these are the same, so we don't even have to care about those. We don't have to worry about them. In fact, they're the same on all 4, so the middle really made no difference in this entire problem. The trick, again, is this last one. Everybody thinks that they're going to just get rid of these, cancel these out, they just go away. They do not. All right, let's keep on. Oh my God, why do I keep re-magnifying? Given a linear equation, the value of the independent variable decreases at a constant rate while the value of the dependent variable increases at a constant rate. Alright kids, gotta go through a few vocabulary words. This was a zinger, I guess, according to the question. Or something like this. So given a linear equation, I mean it's going to be a line. Let's say it's going to be a line. The independent variables are the x values. These are independent. And the y values are the dependent. And it's just because if we plug in a number for x, y depends on whatever x is. So what it's saying is the independent variable is decreasing. So getting smaller while the value of the dependent variable increases. So that's going to look like this. Think about it. As you go this way, as the independent variable is getting smaller, what's happening to the dependent variable? It is getting larger. So the x, basically what it's saying is the x values are getting smaller, the y values are getting bigger. Now if you want to turn that around so it kind of makes more sense, you could say that the independent or the x values are getting bigger as the dependent or the y values are getting smaller. So as x gets bigger, y gets smaller, and that's a negative slope, obviously. The volume of a cylinder can is 32 pips. So this is another formula that's on your formula sheet. The volume of a cylinder can is, they always give you it is pi r squared times the height. Now when they're telling you this is 32 pi equals, and they also tell you that the height is 2, so we'll replace that. Well, in order to get r squared by itself, you just divide by 2 pi. I's cancel. This turned out to be 16, so r squared equals 16, or r equals 4. Now this is another formula that's on your formula sheet, and you should be able to do that. Okay. Okay. A fraction is undefined only when the denominator is equal to 0. So what we'll do is we'll set the denominator equal to 0, x squared minus 4 equals 0. We factor it. We get x plus 2, x minus 2. But because it has the equal to, you have to continue on and actually solve this, and you get x equals negative 2 and x equals positive 2. So your answers are... Very sensitive computer, positive and negative 2. If you want to switch over to the calculator and check this, 14 plus x, you do control division. 14 plus x divided by x squared minus x squared minus 4. This is going to come out with some number. It doesn't really matter. I forgot. Oh, must be 2's already stored into x because it came up undefined. But if you take 2 and you store it into x to make sure, right, and then you go up and you hit this. Comes up as undefined. If you try negative 2, store x. Negative 2 stow x. Enter. And then you just type that same equation in. It will also say it's undefined. So there you go, undefined. Alright, so what I'll do is you're going to cross multiply, but be careful, you got to cross multiply doing this. I'm going to show you another way to do this problem as well. So to cross multiply, I can change the colors. Oh, I have an eraser too, so if I wanted to, I can get rid of things. Let me just try this. Have fun with that. So let's cross multiply. So I get 2 times 2 is 4 equals x plus 1 times x plus 1. Alright, so we're going to double distribute this, x times both of these, so that's x squared plus x, and then 1 times x is x, and then 1 times 1 is plus 1. So if 4 equals x squared plus 2x plus 1, subtract the 4, subtract the 4, I get x squared plus 2x minus 3, and then this is just equal to 0. Factoring here is simple. You guys can handle this one. X and x, it's plus 3 and minus 1. Do your t-chart. So you get x equals negative 3 and x equals 1. And those are your solutions to this equation. So negative 3 and positive 1 is right here. I'll pause it because I'm about to erase it so I can get some more room here. Because now that I found my eraser, I'm a happy camper. So, ooh, man, that's a lot of fun. Okay, so the way I could have done it is just to try numbers. For example, let's try 1. Put a 1 in here, you get 2. Put a 1 in here, you get 2. That's 2 over 2, that's 2 over 2. 1 works, so I can choose one of these 2. Now, the next one I think that I would try would probably be 3, because it's positive and it's easier now that I know 1 works. So I would put a 3 in here, I get 4. Put 3 in here, I get 4. Well, this is 2 over 4, that's a half. This is 4 over 2, that's a problem. Well, let me try negative 2. And why would negative 3 work then? That's weird. Let's see why that works. So this is 2, this is negative 3, and then negative 3. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2, so this becomes 2 over negative 2. And this becomes negative 2 over 2. Well, those are both just negative 1. And that's why that works. Alright, Sean, let's move on. Total in a football game was 72 points. The winning teams scored 12 more than the losing team. So losing, and Lou is the losing plus 12. So I take the losers plus 12, because we always assign the variable to whatever is mentioned second. Oops, that's a 72, by the way. That has to equal 72. So I bring the 72 over, or the 12 over. I get 2 losers equals 60, or the losers got 30. Well, if the losers got 30, then the winners got 30 plus 12, or 42. I don't know what they're asking for. How many points did the winners get? We only care about winners. 42. Next. What is the perimeter of this shape? Oh my God, are you kidding me? Tough. Just kidding. Let's add those up. If I add those up, I get 20. So these don't make any sense. Now I gotta figure out, now this is an isosceles trapezoid, which just does mean this is also 6. And that would make this radius 3. Now, if you remember correctly, the outside part of a circle is called the circumference, and the formula for the circumference that I use is diameter times pi. I know some people like 2 pi r, but 2 r is a d, and the d makes more sense. So, we don't even need the radius. So I need the diameter. Diameter is 6, so the circumference of the entire circle is 6 pi. I don't have an entire circle, I only have half of a circle, so I gotta cut that in half to get 3 pi. So the answer is choice 1. And just out of curiosity, no, you couldn't do that. You can't find the area on this question because they'd have to give you the height. I was going to do an area question. They can't, since they did not give you the height. The probability that it will rain tomorrow is 1/2. The probability that our team will win tomorrow's basketball game is 3/5. Which expression represents the probability that it will rain and that our team will not win the game? So, if the probability of winning the game is 3/5, probability of not winning the game would be 2/5. Because remember, these have to add up to 5/5 or 1. Too much. Okay, so the probability that will rain tomorrow is 1/2. So notice these are all 1/2. And we don't use pluses on things like this because it says what rain and means we're going to multiply. So we have to have both things happen. So we're going to multiply, and we're going to multiply 1/2 times 2/5. Because it has this really little word right here that says not. Well, how did we erase? That was kind of cool though. Now the formula for a pyramid is 1/3 the base times the height. What is the height expressed in terms of being? Okay, so this is just a lot of literal equation questions that you guys know how to do. And I've taught you guys a million times how to get rid of a third, because that's the first thing you have to do. And what you want to do is you want to multiply both sides by 3. Now, by multiplying 1/3 times 3, they actually cancel each other out. So I'll get 3 volumes is equal to the base times the height. Now, I want to know what is the height. And notice they all have h equals, so I divide by v. Divide by v. And I get h equals 3v over v. So put that work and circle the wrong problem. There we go, last question. There we go. Done with that one.